7 signs an elderly person may be in their final year. Because far too often, families miss the quiet signs that an elderly loved one may be approaching life's final chapter. We assume death will come suddenly, but the truth is, the body often begins sending subtle signals up to a year before that time arrives. These aren't loud warnings, they're quiet changes, an unexplained drop in weight, deep fatigue that rest doesn't fix, a fading appetite, or moments of confusion in someone who was once sharp and steady. Most people dismiss them as just part of getting older. But looking back, they realize the clues were there all along. This video is here to help you see those signs now, while there's still time to prepare, to connect, and to make the most of each moment. We'll walk through 7 key insights, including 5 signs, physical, mental, and emotional, that often appear in the final year of life. And just as importantly, we'll talk about how to respond with compassion, not fear, with presence, not panic. If you're caring for someone in their 70s, 80s, or beyond, or noticing these changes in yourself, this may be one of the most important videos you ever watch, because recognizing these signs doesn't mean giving up. It means giving more of what truly matters. Let's begin. Many people assume that death, especially in old age, comes suddenly. One day everything seems fine and the next a loved one is gone. But in truth, the body often gives us quiet warning signs, sometimes as early as a year before life comes to an end. These signals are usually subtle at first, easily brushed off as just getting older, but over time they become more noticeable, and if we pay attention, they can help us prepare for what's ahead in a way that is compassionate, supportive, and deeply meaningful. Understanding these early signs is not about living in fear. It's about gaining insight into how the body naturally begins to slow down when it senses that it's nearing the end of its journey. Just like the seasons shift gradually, so too does the body prepare for the final stage of life. Recognizing this transition can allow families to provide the kind of care and emotional support that truly matters. One reason people often miss these signs is that they can look a lot like normal aging. Maybe your loved one starts losing weight or seems more tired than usual. Perhaps they're having trouble remembering things, or they stop showing interest in conversations and favorite activities. None of these changes happen overnight, which is why they're easy to overlook. But when several of them begin to show up together and they persist, it may be a sign that the body is winding down. Some of these changes are physical. A person may lose their appetite, sleep more than usual, or have less strength and stamina than they used to. Others are more emotional or cognitive, such as confusion, withdrawal from family, or a sudden lack of motivation. The tricky part is that these signs don't always appear in the same order, and not every person experiences them in the same way. Still, learning what to look for can help you respond with kindness and understanding rather than worry or frustration. It's also important to note that these early signs don't necessarily mean death is right around the corner. Instead, they are indications that a new phase of life is beginning, one where comfort, dignity, and peace should take priority over pushing for recovery or trying to get back to normal. For many families, recognizing this shift helps reduce unnecessary medical interventions, hospital visits, and stress. It gives everyone the chance to focus on what truly matters, spending quality time together, sharing stories, expressing love, and offering reassurance. This awareness is especially valuable in the United States, where our medical system often focuses on treating illness, not always on caring for someone who is nearing the end of life. By knowing what to look for, seniors and their families can make informed decisions about hospice care, end-of-life planning, and how to best honor a person's wishes. This doesn't mean giving up hope. It means finding a different kind of hope, one rooted in presence, connection, and comfort. Ultimately, the body knows when it's time to slow down. The more we understand and accept these signs, the more peace we can bring to the process, for ourselves, for our families, and for those we love most. Recognizing these early warnings gives us a chance to prepare, not just practically, but emotionally and spiritually as well. It invites us to be present, to listen closely, and to make every remaining moment count. When someone we love begins to show signs of physical or mental decline, it's easy to assume it's just part of growing older. We may try to brush it off, encourage them to eat more, get more rest, or stay active, but there comes a point when these changes persist despite our best efforts. That's when it's time to take a closer look, not with fear, but with understanding. Recognizing the early signs that a person may be entering their final year of life is not about giving up hope. It's about shifting our focus to preparation, comfort, and making the most of the time we have left together. One of the greatest gifts of recognizing these signs early is the ability to prepare emotionally. Death can feel sudden and shocking when we're caught off guard, but when we see the slow decline for what it is, a natural part of the body's journey, it allows us to begin processing our feelings before the final goodbye. It creates a space where family members can come to terms with the situation and begin to let go with grace rather than fear or regret. It also gives us time to make meaningful choices. When you recognize that a loved one is approaching the final stage of life, you can begin to have conversations that matter. You can ask about their wishes for care, their thoughts about life and death, and the things they still want to do. This is when we can talk about advanced directives, living wills, or preferences for hospice care. Decisions that are much harder to make in a crisis. These conversations aren't always easy, but they often bring families closer together and reduce confusion or conflict later on. On a practical level, noticing these changes early gives families the chance to adjust the home environment or daily routine to better support their loved one. That might mean switching to softer foods if they're eating less, helping with personal care if strength is fading, or creating a quiet, comforting space for rest. It might also involve organizing medical appointments, reaching out to hospice services, or setting up visits from close friends and relatives who want to spend quality time while they still can. For seniors themselves, recognizing the signs in their own body can also be empowering. It gives them a chance to reflect, to focus on what matters most, and to spend their energy wisely. Many older adults who realize they may be nearing life's end begin to prioritize connection over tasks, reflection over routine, and peace over productivity. They may want to share stories, express feelings they've held back, or simply enjoy the presence of those they love. Preparation doesn't mean everything must be planned down to the last detail, but even small steps, like organizing important paperwork, choosing a healthcare proxy, or writing down favorite memories, can make a big difference for the person and their family. And in the United States, where navigating the healthcare system can feel overwhelming, having a clear plan in place brings much-needed peace of mind. Most importantly, recognizing these signs helps us focus on the present. It reminds us that the time we have now is precious. It encourages us to slow down, hold hands, have the important conversations, and savor the quiet moments. It's about giving our loved ones and ourselves the opportunity to say what needs to be said, to share laughter and tears, and to face the future with love rather than fear. In the end, preparation isn't about control, it's about presence. When we recognize what's happening, we can respond with compassion instead of confusion. We can be ready not just to let go, but to hold on to the moments that matter most. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 2 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now, let's move forward. As we grow older, it's natural for the body and mind to change, but there are certain changes that go beyond the usual signs of aging, subtle shifts that may point to something deeper. When several of these symptoms begin appearing together, they can signal that the body is preparing for its final stage. Recognizing these 5 key signs can help families respond with care, attention, and love rather than being caught off guard. 1. Significant weight loss. Losing a few pounds here and there isn't unusual, but unintentional, ongoing weight loss, especially when a person isn't trying to diet, can be a red flag. You might notice clothes fitting more loosely, belts needing new holes, or favorite meals being left unfinished. In many cases, the body stops absorbing nutrients efficiently, and muscle mass begins to shrink. This makes it harder to stay strong and can increase the risk of falls or infection. When the appetite fades and energy declines, it may be the body's way of quietly signaling that it's winding down. 2. Extreme fatigue and weakness. Most people feel tired now and then, but the kind of fatigue we're talking about here is deeper and more persistent. Your loved one might sleep much more than usual or struggle to stay awake during conversations. Simple tasks like brushing teeth, standing up, or walking across the room can feel exhausting. Even with rest, their energy doesn't bounce back. This type of fatigue often means that the body is using its energy to support vital organs while slowing down non-essential functions. 3. Cognitive confusion or withdrawal. The mind may begin to fade before the body fully does. A person who once remembered everything may start forgetting names, repeating themselves, or getting lost in familiar places. They may become disoriented even in their own home, or seem distant during conversations. In some cases, emotional withdrawal happens as well. They may stop participating in activities they once enjoyed or spend long stretches of time in silence. This isn't about being antisocial, it's about the brain slowing down as part of the body's natural decline. 4. Frequent infections and slow healing. The immune system weakens in the later stages of life, which makes it harder to fight off illnesses. You might notice that your loved one is getting sick more often, catching colds, dealing with urinary tract infections, or developing small wounds that take a long time to heal. Even minor scrapes can turn into serious problems if the body doesn't have the strength to recover. Infections may also show up in unusual ways in older adults. Confusion or lethargy might actually be the first sign something is wrong. 5. Major changes in breathing or circulatio breathing patterns can change significantly in the final months. You may hear irregular breaths, long pauses between breaths, or see signs of shortness of breath with very little effort. Some people develop a pattern known as Cheyne-Stokes breathing, which alternates between shallow breathing and deeper, faster breaths, followed by a pause. Circulation also slows. Hands and feet may feel cold, and skin may turn bluish or mottled. These are strong indicators that the heart and lungs are working harder to keep up but may be nearing their limits. Understanding these 5 signs isn't about jumping to conclusions. Not everyone who experiences them is immediately at the end of life, but when several appear at once and they don't improve, it's time to think differently about care. Rather than trying to fix each symptom, families can shift toward comfort, connection, and making the most of the time that remains. If you start to notice these signs in someone you love, don't ignore your instincts. Talk to a doctor or palliative care team. More importantly, talk to your loved one. This is a time for gentle conversations, shared memories, and peace, not panic. These signs may be quiet, but their message is powerful. Make the most of the moments you still have together. When a loved one is approaching the final stage of life, the natural instinct for many families is to try to fix what's going wrong. We want to do more medicine, more appointments, more encouragement to eat or walk or stay strong. But as the body slows down and signs of decline become clearer, a shift in perspective can bring much more peace. In these precious final months or weeks, comfort and connection matter far more than cure. Instead of pushing for recovery, this is the time to focus on quality of life. At this stage, the body is no longer able to bounce back the way it once did. Things like poor appetite, fatigue, and confusion are not necessarily problems to be solved, but signals that the body is transitioning. Rather than seeing these changes as setbacks, we can view them as opportunities to offer care that aligns with the person's actual needs. Gentle, respectful, and centered on dignity, comfort can mean different things for different people. For one person, it may be soft blankets in a quiet room. For another, it might be playing favorite music, watching old movies, or enjoying the smell of a home-cooked meal, even if they only eat a bite or two. Some may find peace in spiritual rituals, prayer, or simply holding someone's hand. The key is to tune into what brings calm, familiarity, and a sense of safety. Physical comfort is also important. That includes managing pain, helping with mobility, adjusting sleeping positions, and keeping the person clean and warm. Simple things, like propping them up with pillows, offering small sips of water, or gently massaging sore muscles, can make a big difference. At this point, aggressive treatments or hospital stays may do more harm than good. In fact, many families who choose hospice or palliative care at home find that their loved one is more relaxed and at ease than they were under medical stress. Equally important is emotional comfort. Even if someone seems less talkative or more withdrawn, your presence still matters deeply. Just sitting beside them, offering a smile, or reading a familiar book out loud can help them feel supported. Sometimes no words are needed, just being there is enough. Eye contact, a gentle touch, and loving attention can say what words cannot. Connection during this time goes beyond physical care. It's a chance to share memories, express gratitude, or even make amends. If there are things you've always wanted to say, now is the time. Many people find that the final weeks offer opportunities for healing, forgiveness, and meaningful conversations. You don't have to be perfect, you just have to be present. Often, the simplest moments, a shared laugh, a whispered, "I love you," are what we hold on to forever. For the person nearing the end, knowing they are not alone makes all the difference. Even when someone becomes too weak to respond, they often still hear and sense the presence of those around them. Families are sometimes surprised by how much comfort can come from just being together quietly and lovingly as time begins to run out. In our American culture, we often focus on doing, fixing, solving, and striving for more time. But when the body is nearing its end, doing less can actually mean doing more. Comfort becomes the goal, connection becomes the medicine. Love becomes the most important thing we can offer. In this sacred time, every small act of kindness matters. Every moment of presence is a gift, and when the focus shifts from extending life to enriching the life that remains, both the person and their loved ones can find peace even in goodbye. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 4 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now, let's move forward. When someone we love begins to show signs of decline, it's natural to feel overwhelmed. We may feel unsure of what's happening, scared of what it means, or even in denial. After all, who wants to think about losing someone close to them? But as difficult as it may be, learning to recognize and accept the signs that a person may be approaching the final year of life can bring an unexpected gift, peace of mind. Awareness doesn't make loss easier, but it helps us prepare, respond with love, and reduce unnecessary confusion and stress. For many seniors and their families, the idea of not knowing is what causes the most worry. When changes like weight loss, confusion, or fatigue start showing up, people often wonder, is this normal aging, or is something more serious going on? Without clear answers, it's easy to fall into anxiety or denial, but when we're aware that certain patterns often appear in the final year of life, we can start to understand those changes as part of a natural process, not just random health problems or personal failings. Awareness helps us shift our perspective. Instead of thinking, what's wrong and how do we fix it, we begin asking, what's happening and how do we make it meaningful? This change in mindset brings calm where there was confusion and purpose where there was fear. We stop chasing solutions that may no longer be appropriate, and we begin focusing on what really matters: comfort, connection, and emotional support. It also allows us to prepare practically. In the United States, we often face complicated medical systems, insurance questions, and care decisions in a crisis. But when you understand that your loved one may be entering their final year, you can start planning early. That includes things like talking to doctors about palliative or hospice care options, organizing legal documents, or making decisions about where and how the person wants to spend their final months. These aren't easy conversations, but they are important ones, and having them in advance reduces stress down the line. Awareness brings clarity to the whole family. When everyone is on the same page, misunderstandings and conflicts are less likely to arise. Instead of arguing about whether to push more treatments or bring in more support, the family can make united decisions based on what the person truly wants and needs. That kind of clarity gives everyone involved more confidence and calm in a very emotional time. For seniors themselves, awareness can be equally powerful. Knowing that the body is changing for a reason, not just breaking down randomly, can help them come to terms with the process. It offers the chance to let go of frustration or embarrassment and to spend more time on things that bring joy and meaning. Many people, once they understand what's happening, feel relief. They begin to savor each day, reconnect with loved ones, and speak openly about their wishes, memories, and hopes for the people they leave behind. It's important to remember that awareness does not mean we stop caring. In fact, it means we start caring differently. Instead of focusing only on treatment, we begin focusing on presence. Instead of rushing to prolong life at any cost, we choose to enrich the life that remains. When we stop resisting the reality of life's final chapter, we often find that it's filled with opportunities for love, healing, connection, and grace. Knowing what to expect brings strength. It allows us to face each day with greater peace and to walk alongside our loved ones with compassion instead of fear. So if you're seeing the signs, whether in yourself or someone close to you, take a deep breath. Awareness is the first step toward peace. You don't have to have all the answers. You just need to be willing to see, to listen, and to be present. In doing so, you'll help make this last season of life one filled with dignity, warmth, and love. As the body begins to slow down in the final year of life, it's not just physical changes we notice. Emotional and spiritual shifts also become more visible, sometimes even before the more obvious health signs appear. A person nearing the end of life often starts to think more deeply about their past, their relationships, and what their life has meant. They may show more emotion, seek more comfort, or begin to focus less on daily tasks and more on their inner world. These changes are natural and, when understood, can be powerful sources of connection and healing. For many older adults, this period brings a wave of reflection. They may talk more about their childhood, revisit meaningful memories, or want to reconnect with people from the past. They may also express regrets, wishing they had said something, done something differently, or spent more time with someone they loved. These reflections aren't necessarily signs of sadness or depression. In many cases, they're part of the process of coming to terms with a life that's nearing its end. Families can support this by being present and listening without judgment. Even if you've heard the story a dozen times, listen again. These moments are less about facts and more about the emotional importance behind them. Let your loved ones share what's on their heart, and if they express regrets, try not to rush to reassure or fix things. Sometimes what people need most is simply to be heard and accepted. Spiritual changes also begin to emerge more strongly. For some people, this means turning back to their religious roots, praying more, attending services, or asking for visits from clergy. For others, it may be less about organized religion and more about seeking peace, understanding life's purpose, or wondering what happens after death. Even people who have never considered themselves spiritual may start asking questions or expressing curiosity about the meaning of it all. This is a time when spiritual support can be especially helpful. Whether it's a pastor, a chaplain, a spiritual counselor, or a trusted friend, having someone to talk to about these deeper questions can bring great comfort. And for family members, it's important to honor and respect whatever beliefs or doubts the person expresses. This isn't the time to argue about theology or impose your own views. It's a time to hold space for what your loved one is experiencing. Another common emotional shift during this time is the desire for closure. People often want to say things they haven't said before, to express love, ask for forgiveness, or offer it to others. If there are strained relationships, this may be the moment when someone is finally ready to make peace. Don't underestimate how powerful it can be to say, "I'm sorry, I forgive you," or "I love you." These are the moments that often linger in memory long after someone has passed. Many older adults also begin to simplify their lives. They might give away special items, clean out personal belongings, or write letters to loved ones. These acts aren't just practical, they are part of a larger emotional and spiritual process. They're ways of saying goodbye, of letting go, and of preparing to leave in peace. As someone who cares for a loved one during this time, the best thing you can do is walk with them, let them share, let them cry, let them be silent when they need to. Be patient when they're moody and gentle when they seem distant. These emotional and spiritual changes may be hard to witness, but they are also deeply human. They are part of what makes this final season of life so sacred. In the end, while medicine can ease pain and support the body, love and understanding are what soothe the soul. When we honor the emotional and spiritual changes happening in someone we love, we help them leave this world not just cared for, but truly seen, heard, and loved. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 7 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now, let's move forward. When someone we love starts to decline, it's only natural to want to help, to step in, fix what's wrong, and make things better. We schedule appointments, offer healthy meals, remind them to stay active, and encourage them to keep fighting. This role of protector and problem solver feels right, especially when we've spent a lifetime looking out for our loved ones. But in the final year of life, there's often a shift. The role of family changes from fixing to supporting, from doing to simply being. This transition can be hard, especially in our American culture, which often praises action and perseverance. We've been raised to believe that with the right effort, almost anything can be overcome. But the truth is, there comes a time when more effort doesn't bring better results, when the body begins to slow down, not because it's giving up, but because it's preparing to let go. In these moments, our role isn't to fight against the inevitable, but to walk beside our loved one with compassion and care. Support means listening more than talking. It means allowing your loved one to express fears, regrets, or even silence without feeling the need to cheer them up or change the subject. It means acknowledging the reality of the situation without trying to sugarcoat it. This doesn't mean giving up hope. Rather, it's about shifting the definition of hope, from hoping for more time to hoping for peace, comfort, and meaningful connection. When you move into a supporting role, your priorities change. Instead of asking, how can I get them back to how they used to be, you begin to ask, how can I help them feel safe, loved, and comfortable today? That change in focus opens up a whole new way of being present. It allows you to slow down, stop measuring progress, and start appreciating the moments that matter. Sharing memories, holding hands, laughing at old jokes, or sitting together in silence. Supporting someone at the end of life also means respecting their wishes, even if they're hard to accept. Maybe your loved one no longer wants to go to the hospital. Maybe they prefer smaller meals, shorter visits, or more quiet time. These choices may feel like giving up to some, but they're actually signs that the person is taking control of how they want to spend their final days. As a supporter, your job is to honor those choices, not to push them in a different direction. And it's also important to remember that this stage is not just about the person who is dying. It's about the family too. Letting go of the urge to fix everything can be painful. You may feel helpless or guilty. You may question if you're doing enough. These feelings are normal. But trust that your presence, patience, and kindness matter more than any medical solution. Simply being there, without expectation or pressure, is one of the most powerful forms of love you can offer. Sometimes support means stepping back when needed, giving your loved ones space to rest. Other times it means being quietly by their side, offering reassurance with a touch or a few gentle words. And often it means finding strength within yourself to show up day after day, even when your heart is breaking. When families shift from fixing to supporting, something beautiful happens. The stress begins to ease. The need to control every outcome softens, and in its place comes a kind of peace, a quiet, tender connection that holds both the person who is dying and the ones who remain. But beneath them lies something more fundamental, a message about time, connection, and letting go. Awareness of these signs allows us to reframe decline not as defeat, but as preparation. It invites us to shift from intervention to presence, from urgency to meaning. This perspective doesn't diminish the value of science or medicine. It clarifies their limits, reminding us that the final stage of life demands a different kind of care. Observation becomes intimacy, precision becomes compassion. In these quiet transformations, we find a new form of understanding, one rooted not in extension of life at all costs, but in the elevation of dignity, peace, and emotional truth. For the scientific mind, the lesson is clear. Knowing what to look for allows us to respond not with fear, but with wisdom, and to honor the beauty in life's final equation. But beneath them lies something more fundamental, a message about time, connection, and letting go. Awareness of these signs allows us to reframe decline not as defeat, but as preparation. It invites us to shift from intervention to presence, from urgency to meaning. This perspective doesn't diminish the value of science or medicine, it clarifies their limits, reminding us that the final stage of life demands a different kind of care. Observation becomes intimacy, precision becomes compassion. In these quiet transformations, we find a new form of understanding, one rooted not in extension of life at all costs, but in the elevation of dignity, peace, and emotional truth. For the scientific mind, the lesson is clear. Knowing what to look for allows us to respond not with fear, but with wisdom, and to honor the beauty in life's final equation. Thank you for joining us today. We would love to hear from you. Please leave a comment below and share one thing you learned today, how you plan to use it in your life. Your thoughts are important to us, so don't hesitate to share them. Reading your comments gives us great motivation and encouragement. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us continue to create great content to inform and inspire you. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.